Hello everyone, my name is Justin, and welcome to part 2 of the equipment video series, which is part of the War of the Visions Final Fantasy Brave EXVIUS video series made just for beginners. In the previous video, we briefly discussed gaining equipment and how to equip it to units in your party. So the next question is, how do you get new equipment? Get ready, there is a lot of information to go through. Starting off, let me briefly explain what's needed to craft new equipment in War of the Visions Final Fantasy Brave EXVIUS. There are two main components, recipes and materials. For the most part, materials are gained through many different parts of the game, such as quest rewards, purchased from the Mog shop, and so on. Some materials can be used in multiple different recipes, but not always. Recipes can be obtained in similar ways, and they are for specific equipment that you would like to craft. Let me discuss how to get recipes and materials needed for crafting. There are three main ways to obtain materials and recipes in War of the Visions. The first way, and the most advised way for a new player, is obtaining the materials and recipes through story quests. As you'll be venturing through the quest, you will obtain many different recipes for weapons, armor, accessories, so it's important to pay attention and craft as you proceed. The second way is from time-limited events. Most events have different difficulty levels, with the higher difficulty levels being the most rewarding. But be advised that the time-limited equipment is more difficult to obtain and craft compared to the equipment from the story quests, although it is usually stronger overall. Some limited events, such as raids and some others, allow you to earn special event medals to use in the Mog shop. In the Mog shop, you can find both recipes and materials available. So if you have gained any medals from any of the events, please check out the Mog shop to spend them for the items that you need. While taking on story quests, you will encounter a lot of different quests that give various recipes and materials as part of the rewards and the drops. When starting out, it's a good way to get equipment that you need, so be sure to focus on the type of equipment you need for your units while taking on these quests. Swords, staffs, armor, and accessories, and so on. All of that is what you will need. You can repeat the same quest multiple times to obtain multiple recipes and materials, which are used during crafting to increase the strength of the item that you're creating. I'll show a demonstration of this later on in the video. Aside from the story quests, it's very common for there to be limited time event quests which provide limited time equipment in the far plane. There's typically a few quests available at different difficulty levels that can all provide recipes and materials needed for specific items. So if you're starting out, taking on the lower level quests will be a bit more manageable but still earn you some rewards. In War of the Visions Final Fantasy Brave EXVIUS, as I mentioned previously, equipment for your units is vital to your success, so it's important to gather different equipment that offer a wide array of bonuses. For example, getting a sword that offers a bonus to fire attack will be very useful for fire elemental units that can use a sword, but not as useful for non-fire elemental units. Armor and accessories are very versatile and allow you to strengthen different stats. For example, some unit abilities are based on their magic stat, so getting weapons and accessories that provide magic, magic attack up, and magic resist piercing rate up would do well in boosting their damage. But they can be quite weak when it comes to taking damage though, so providing them with suitable armor equipment would be advised. There are many different types of equipment in War of the Visions, and much of it is gained through completing quests for recipes and materials. To be extra clear, a lot of your time in War of the Visions Final Fantasy Brave EXVIUS should be spent gathering equipment, recipes, and materials used to create them. There's constantly new equipment being made available, so please check the endgame notices to see what equipment you can obtain from events and campaigns. Okay, let's dive into actually creating a piece of equipment and all the details you should know about that. Let's head over to the equipment section and then into the crafting area with the button in the bottom left. In this crafting area, you are presented with a list of equipment that can be crafted if you have at least one recipe. If you don't have at least one recipe for crafting that equipment, then it won't appear on this screen. Let's take a look at something you probably do have, which is the iron plate. You can get this equipment's recipe from the story quests in-game as early as Part 1, Chapter 1, Scene 2, Quest 2. So in order to craft this equipment, click on the iron plate and you'll be taken to the main crafting screen for the item. There's a few things to go over here, so let's get right into it. On the left-hand side, you'll see a bunch of stats and corresponding numbers. These stats are what the unit will gain by equipping that piece of equipment. If there's a dash where that stat is, that means the equipment does not provide any stat value when equipped. Directly below that in another box are bonus abilities that you'll gain with higher leveled equipment such as +1, +2, etc. For reference, most equipment in War of the Visions, Final Fantasy Brave Exvius can be enhanced to higher plus versions of itself via crafting with recipes and materials. As you can see, the base +0 iron plate. If I select that I'd like to create a +1 iron plate, the additional abilities updates to include /attack resist up 1. And if I select that I'd like to make a +2, the bonus raises even more to /attack resist up 2. This is one of the major benefits of creating higher leveled gear. Another benefit is an increased chance of providing stats when raising the equipment's level with adamantite. The higher the plus, the greater the chance per level. I'll touch on this a little bit later when I discuss equipment leveling. Okay, one very important thing to note when crafting equipment. If you have all the materials needed, you can easily craft higher leveled plus equipment without needing to make each piece individually. Take note as I click on the plus button for the iron plate. You'll notice that in the top left, the iron plate will display the targeted level in green, such as iron plate +3. In the crafting materials to be consumed section, you'll see the specific materials needed to create equipment for that target level. And if you already have a piece of the same type of equipment, such as a +1 iron plate, that you'd like to use for automatically crafting a higher level version of, you can check the box Use crafted equipment items as materials, which will use it when creating your new equipment. This is very useful if you have an already crafted piece of equipment and you'd like to use it to create a higher level version, which saves on materials overall instead of creating it from scratch. Before we craft the equipment, I'd like to give you a reminder of the types system that I covered in a previous video. When crafting equipment, it's important to create the type that is suitable for you. Okay, for crafting the piece of equipment, that's all you need to know for now. But there is still more to learn after the equipment has been successfully crafted. Let me cover all the info you need to get the equipment's maximum potential. Let's have a look at an iron plate that I've created and explore what's on the screen. Reminder that you can find your list of equipment in the equipment menu. Now that we're looking at the individual equipment screen, there's a few things to look at. In the bottom right, you'll see Enhance, Awaken, and Smith. Let's look at them all individually. When you click on Enhance, you're taken to this screen to enhance the equipment's level with adamantite. You can select how much adamantite of each type you'd like to use, and you can see how much it levels up the equipment. For almost all non-N rarity equipment in War of the Visions, each level you enhance a piece of equipment has a chance to increase the item's stat points up to the maximum amount indicated for each stat. To provide a little bit more clarity, when the iron plate is increased from level 1 to level 2, any of its stats can be increased by a certain amount. To demonstrate the difference, please observe as I enhance 2 equipment pieces to level 30. One piece is +3 and the other piece is +0. As you can tell, the +3 piece overall has more stat points added to it during the enhancement process. When you're enhancing your equipment, you'll notice another screen pop up asking if you'd like to use any seals. Seals are a way to increase the chance of that particular stat increasing when enhancing the equipment. There are seals of most stat types, and it costs 1 seal per level you are increasing. As mentioned, using a seal will increase the chance of that particular stat increasing with that level. If you're looking to enhance the equipment by 23 levels, you can use 23 of each seal type, up to 3. As a new player, seals can be very important when creating gear. Thankfully, you can earn them in a variety of ways, such as secret book quests, milestone missions, the Mog Shop, guild quests, and more. So there's always ways to keep gaining them. Okay, that covers the information that you need for enhancing the equipment's level, so be sure to take advantage of the seals to ensure that your equipment has the highest stats that it can. Next up, let's take a look at the Equipment Awakening, which raises the maximum level that the equipment can be. Back on the equipment's main screen, we will select Awakening and be taken to the new screen. Awakening is simply a way to increase the maximum enhancement level of the equipment. When your equipment is first created, it will be 1-star awakened, which has a maximum enhancement level of 10. When we awaken the equipment to 2 stars, the equipment can now be enhanced up to 20. And this is true all the way up to 5 stars, which you may have guessed allows the equipment to be enhanced to a maximum of level 50. When awakening the equipment, you can see a familiar slider, which allows you to select the awakening level you'd like to achieve. As you can tell from each level, there's a certain number of materials required for each awakening. Once your equipment is at the desired awakening, you can head back to enhance it as we just discussed earlier. Alright, that should cover all the info you need for awakening your equipment, so don't forget to do it when you craft a new piece. Finally, we have one more area to explore, which is the smith section. Smithing is just simply a way to increase the equipment's stats by using dwarven hammers. Each stat has a particular dwarven hammer that increases the stat by that amount. Since we're looking at the iron plate, we can increase the defense and HP of the equipment, assuming these stats are not already at their maximum value. For example, this iron plate I have is 1 out of 3 defense, and each defense dwarven hammer can increase the defense stat by 1. So I can use 2 defense hammers to get the defense stat to its maximum of 3. You're able to do this for most stats that the equipment has. However, one thing to note is that you can only use 10 dwarven hammers per piece of equipment, so be sure to plan out their use beforehand. Okay, that wraps it up for creating new equipment. As you can see, this system is very versatile, and there's a lot of ways to customize your playstyle in War of the Visions. As a beginner, it may be difficult to create a +5 version of every equipment piece you come across due to the materials needed to do so. A +5 piece of equipment is very strong, and you'll still get a lot of benefit from having a +4 or a +3 or a +2. So as a beginner, it's important to ensure that you have different types of equipment ready for the unique battles in War of the Visions, Final Fantasy Brave Exvius, rather than having smaller selection of +5 equipment. So please consider this when gathering materials and crafting new equipment. Okay, I think that concludes it for this video. As you can tell, crafting in War of the Visions, Final Fantasy Brave Exvius is complex, but so is the customization that you get from the equipment. There's a lot of ways to configure your equipment to get exactly what you want in battle. But please stay tuned for new videos that will come along in the future for your journey in War of the Visions, Final Fantasy Brave Exvius. Goodbye for now.